Welcome back to the show. We got a great one lined up. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and digperspectives.com. Right now, $2.44 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is off by 1.8%. 67,300 plus for Bitcoin right now. Ethereum 2,600 plus. Tether 120 billion plus. USDC 34 billion plus. XRP 54 cents. We're up 0.5% on the 24-hour. We're up 1% on the 7-day. Right now, the range of price between 54 and 56 cents. It wants to. You can feel things getting a little spunky. Now, last evening, Bitcoin went to 69,000 plus. Keep your head on a swivel. Everybody's been saying Bitcoin in October, so head on a swivel, ladies and gentlemen. Fruition Productions, here's another thing to act fast and head on a swivel about. XRP Unleashed screening premieres are selling fast. Get them before they are gone. Scottsdale, Arizona is sold out in less than 24 hours, and I believe a couple other areas have sold out as well. Ladies and gentlemen, don't play around. Get your tickets to the premiere. I will be announcing inside my private groups which locations I will be attending. I hope to see you all there. This is going to be a remarkable experience. Let's get into this. I've heard Elon Musk talk about Bitcoin, Dogecoin, even flamethrowers that he's created. But in this particular clip, he is asked if the XRP and XRP Ledger will be used in the new financial system. And listen to the way he reacts.
Given how punitive the SEC has been towards crypto under this administration, do you envision the XRP ledger being incorporated into the financial institutions in the future?
Well, I certainly cannot speak to any specific crypto.
You sound like Gary Gensler.
But you know, I do think that the sort of cryptocurrency is an interesting and probably valuable bulwark against a centralized control. So, you know, this is definitely not an endorsement or lack of endorsement for XRP, but I do think crypto, by its very nature, it helps with individual freedom.
It sure does. And I tell you what, I think he is absolutely sidestepping that professionally, just the same way that Gary Gensler has. And it's interesting because he openly talks about how much Bitcoin Tesla has or using Dogecoin for X. But when it came to that, he got pretty serious and was like, not to speak to any one particular. I tell you, it's always funny how they can't talk about XRP, isn't it? Well, take a look at this. Elon Musk also endorses Brian Armstrong and supports that move because Brian Armstrong shows his support and throws his support and weight behind John Deaton. And Elon Musk showing support for that, which is indirectly showing support for John Deaton. He's watching us all. He sees it all. Please, I'm asking all of you. John Deaton came to our need, our rescue. I'm asking you to tag Joe Rogan, Jamie Vernon, Patrick Bet-David, Vincent Oshana, Lex Friedman, and anyone else that has a huge platform to show them that Elon Musk is throwing support behind John Deaton and Brian Armstrong from Coinbase throwing support behind John Deaton. Let's continue to push. This could be that little bit of time we need to really, really change the rest of the game when it comes to voting in Massachusetts. Right here, the latest UK pension giant L&G, 1.5 trillion assets under management, is entering crypto by offering tokenized funds, joining the likes of BlackRock and Franklin Templeton. Traditional markets being tokenized. It's happening in real time. And here I wanted to show this. I don't need to play the clip, but another nation state announces Bitcoin stockpile. Who is it? It is the country Bhutan, who also happens to be a Ripple partner. Oh, isn't that interesting? Well, this here, let me set this up in case I have to cut this out. This is Dave Ramsey, and he's being asked about BRICS coalition and de-dollarization for the U.S. dollar. And he gives a very arrogant and rude response to this. And he basically brushes it off and says that there is no issue, there is nothing to be concerned about the dollar. Maybe I'll leave it there. Well, no, I'm going to try to play the clip.
Comes from Zach in Alabama. He asks, I'm reading more and more about de-dollarization and countries moving away from the U.S. dollar as their basis of international trade. Will this affect the strength of the dollar, and should I be concerned about how I'm saving and investing as a result of this?
Okay. Number one, Zach, you're spending too much time on the internet, first and foremost, okay? Because you've gotten into the conspiracy theory blanks here. Now, what is really going on? Okay, I'm concerned with how it's going. Let me see. Moving away from the U.S. dollar as their basis of international trade. Let me just tell you, China and Brazil and Russia are the three main players in this. They already don't use the U.S. dollar as their basis of international trade. Russia has its own currency, so does China, and so does Brazil. And there's a conversion rate between that currency and the U.S. dollar. So many dollars equals so many yen, okay? And, when you go to Mexico, a whole bunch of pesos equals a dollar, right? Like 20 of them. So
all of this is nonsense. It's just explaining how FX pairings are. It has nothing to do with de-dollarization.
So, that's, you got a conversion rate from one currency to another. What these particular, the three largest countries, and they're talking about bringing in some of the oil countries as well in the Middle East, are doing is they're trying to come up with one currency that they all use, and then that would be in international trade converted back and forth to dollars.
And that is the tougher climb for the BRICS bloc. But listen.
Much like Europe did with the euro, which, by the way, kind of didn't work.
It's not at all like what they did with the euro. And the euro kind of has not really worked the way they wanted it to. BRICS coalition intend to back it by gold. That is not kind of the same thing at all.
When we had this exact same crap when France did away with their own currency. The Brexit was the big deal, whether the UK was going to get involved or not.
And they didn't get involved, and they were right not to get involved.
And the euro was traded all over Europe, and they did away with their basic currency. And now the U.S. is just going to it's a one world currency. It's the end times of revelation.
Okay, that was absolute nonsense. Now let's get to it here. Not only do I disagree, the U.S. dollar is in trouble, and his arrogance on the matter doesn't resolve the issue anywhere other than in his own mind. It doesn't mean the U.S. dollar has to lose its status 100%, but it is in question, and we know that because he's not smarter than the OCC, the former OCC Brian Brooks, who claims it also. So I think we want to consider where we're at here. The very fact that he doesn't mention stablecoins use case or why the private issuance of stablecoins from non-banks is so important says quite a bit about his lack of understanding. The U.S. government understands exactly how big a threat de-dollarization can become to our country. The passing of stablecoin legislation solidifies the U.S. government's position that they understand the threat of de-dollarization, signaling that they understand how important, the U.S. understand how important it will be to have a new use case like stablecoins to soak up hyperinflated dollars in a way that has never been possible before. That's what Dave doesn't understand. Never forget, it was the United States government under this current administration that started this de-dollarization movement by placing sanctions on Russia through SWIFT because of the Ukraine conflict. That strengthened the Russian ruble, and it helped weaken the U.S. dollar because regardless of what Dave's babble is here, because it turned into babble before it was over, Dave, And I had a great respect for you years ago, and I know that you're not a risk taker, and you teach people who really don't know how to use credit cards and save money to get themselves together. You do great work. But you shouldn't be afraid to not speak on things you don't fully know about. Humility is what's missing in this. Bring in somebody. I'll come on and talk to you about what it is I know if you'd like. But the reality here is this. The U.S. was the only one hurt in doing so when they put the sanctions on Russia. Why was that? Because Russia was using more dollars in bonds before the SWIFT sanctions were kicked into place. And guess who else was? China. So yes, were they using their local currencies? Yes. But Dave has been very misleading and dismissive in his comments and remarks to not acknowledge the fact that they also have lessened their position in U.S. treasuries over the last few years since the conflict. And that's all the countries in BRICS coalition across the board. You know who else understands what's coming? The IMF. The IMF's fiscal monitor on Wednesday will feature a warning that public debt levels are set to reach $100 trillion this year. Maybe we should just have Dave talk to him. The landmark event just days away. Yes, that's right. It's the BRICS coalition that Dave Ramsey was just dismissing, having their summit in just days. And it set the economic bloc to take a major step toward ending U.S. dollar dominance that Dave said you didn't have to worry about. The UAE president, who just joined BRICS, arrives early in Moscow to meet with Putin before the upcoming BRICS summit. Digital currency trade is the primary topic this year. Someone please tell Dave. SWIFT Sibos conference kicks off today. Yes, the same SWIFT that participated in sanctions against Russia that has lessened the dollar strength and strengthened the ruble and strengthened the reason so many other countries are joining BRICS at all. Then here's what you need to know. We know XRP and the Ethereum network have interoperability because the real USD is about to be launched on it. And this is what it looks like in your tech stack. SWIFT, Ripple. You don't see one or the other, you see both. We already know from Pega Soltani, Ryan Rugg from Citibank, and Kalaya from SWIFT. They're all working together. What we need is the legislation. Oh, we're going to talk about it. And look at this right here. Neum, Ripple partner, Ripple payments partner who uses XRP for cross-border transfers, now connects directly to SWIFT. See, we talked about this where SWIFT may want to keep Ripple and the use of XRP when it's applicable and their stablecoin like a firewall between them and their customers by using third-party connections, you know, like Neum. Utilizing MT and ISO 20022 messaging formats, you know, because they tried to tell us that wasn't connected to digital assets and coding of digital assets. Well, I tell you, the people out here are some bad actors that have worked very hard to turn us all away from what we know is coming. It's crazy. Next week, well, next week's here. Tomorrow, Tuesday and Wednesday, Chris Larson and Brad Garlinghouse are going to be meeting directly with the Federal Reserve Bank. Now, why do you suppose that is? Maybe we should ask Dave Ramsey. No, I'm just kidding. U.S. banks now facing $515 billion in unrealized losses. Maybe that's why they're there, to talk about how the banks can get back some of them losses, eliminating the friction in the system. Maybe that's why Brad and Chris are speaking at the Federal Reserve tomorrow. FDIC warns that 66 banks face the possibility of insolvency after being added to its problem list. 66 banks. The FDIC, yeah, the same FDIC that had the most powerful woman voted twice, Sheila Bair from the FDIC, now Ripple advisor for the real USD. Yeah, that's the FDIC we're talking about. Yeah, I'm sure all of this is nothing, by the way. Or how about the conversation that went on a few weeks ago where Brad Garlinghouse was talking about the opportunity for stablecoins globally, and at some point it'd be expecting the yen stablecoin to make it to the market. Well, of course. We're going to see lots of stablecoins from different areas of the world. It's going to be amazing. Now let's tackle this. 1 trillion real USD have been transferred from unknown wallet to unknown wallet. This is an error, according to Vet. Vet said that he confirmed that this is an error. So there is no 1 trillion. That might be a little bit of, something that somebody may have made up and then put out. We don't know. Amelie usually puts out solid stuff. We'll keep an eye on it if it changes. But right now, that's an error. So if you see that, that's an error. But there's been a lot of minting going on with real USD. We are closer than ever. We need the NYDFS to give us the approval, and watch out. The question is, are we in October? We may be. This is the vision for Ripple's real USD right here.
And I would love to start with RLUSD stablecoin. How does this fit into Ripple's vision for payments? Is it something different, or it's a puzzle piece into the grander picture?
It's definitely a puzzle piece in the grander picture. To put maybe a little macro context around it, Ripple has been using stablecoins in our payment flows for years, and you've used Tether, we've used USDC. There's actually a point in time where our institutional flows represented 20, because of that, we were minting 20% of all USDC. And so we're kind of looking at that. And then we look at what happened during the banking crisis, where USDC depegged by 7%. And, I kind of came to the conclusion there's an opportunity here.
Now, let's understand that when he talks about referencing that point where USDC depegged by 7%, he's saying, and he has said previously, that Ripple could back any kind of peg slip that happens with real USD. And what would they back it with? XRP. And that's the first time, and now the second time, you've heard Brad Garlinghouse reference that they could actually be a great backstop for the real USD, because they could use XRP to back that real USD. And isn't that the ultimate goal? Is that you create enough value in XRP that you can actually support the dollar and peg the dollar to it from now on. And now the dollar's backed by real assets like commodities, gold, oil, silver. You could even back it with reserves of soft commodities like soybeans and wheat and corn. You could use a little bit of everything. And then over time, if you get enough reserves from every different area of tradable assets in the economy, the only way to wreck the value of the real USD and or XRP would be to absolutely collapse the world. Think of it for a moment. Is it so hard to believe that we could see $26? Not for me, especially when I realize that we need 4 and 5 digits for this asset to serve the world and the US dollar in a way that de-dollarization won't be a problem in the future, because it is today. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one.